Welcome everyone to another edition of Willow's Weather Briefing. Today is Sunday, June 15th, 2025. Today we have an enhanced risk of severe thunderstorms for southeastern Montana and two adjacent states. We also have a moderate risk of excessive rainfall for southeastern Virginia and northeastern North Carolina. Other slight risks of excessive rainfall also exist for northwest Iowa into adjacent states, and also another portion here around Arklatex into the Ozarks region. Excessive heat continues across the southwest with temperatures reaching over 110 degrees in the southern basin and Sonoran Desert regions. And over here further east in the Chihuahuan Desert regions, we have temperatures reaching over 100 degrees. Above average temperatures for much of the inner west as well as the central to northern high plains, below average for much of the eastern United States, especially portions of the northeast. Upcoming, our severe weather sequence will continue across the plains, and then later on, a cold front will establish, bringing us a severe weather risk for the Midwest, and also later on into portions of the east. Excessive rainfall will be associated with some of these storms, as well as continued moisture flux from the Gulf and Atlantic. Here are our storm reports from yesterday. Pretty sparse across the U.S. Over here in our enhanced risk, there is an enhanced risk, particularly for hail. We did get a storm. We knew that storm coverage was going to be a little bit sparse, but it seems like at least take take reports not at face value because this is a very sparsely populated and sparse road network area. But there seems to be only one line of storm reports there. But we do have a large hail report associated with this storm, so we know that there was at least large to giant hail in Anna yesterday. Here is our drought monitor. The solid lines demarcate the areas of greatest concern with drought. And here's our current watches and warnings. We have excessive heat warnings for the southwest. That includes areas of the southern basin and Sonoran Desert. Also, excessive heat watches over here for southern New Mexico and Chihuahuan Desert regions. Red flag warnings across southern Utah and across northwestern Colorado. We also have ongoing convection here in the southern plains that includes much of central Oklahoma into northern Texas. Also, some severe thunderstorm warnings and flash flood warnings. We also have a flood watch for portions of the central Appalachians to that moderate risk region over here in southeastern Virginia to northeastern North Carolina. Looking at our surface fronts, we have two regimes of lift here. One of them is the stationary front up here in the northern plains to Midwest, and one of them is draped down here from the southern plains to East Coast. A backdoor cold front will be the reason why we have that moderate risk of excessive rainfall, in addition, and aided by some moisture flux from the Atlantic. That cold front will meander across these regions over here and provide additional lift and forcing for thunderstorms to train over the same areas. This front up here will be the lifting mechanism for our severe weather up here in the high plains, and that is aided by some upper level support that is moving into these areas, causing some additional lift. And we have a low pressure system forming in southern Canada, which will cause a cold front to move across these regions, moving towards the southeast. And then that will be the cause for severe weather on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So on Tuesday, the severe weather will be confined to these regions of Midwest to Central Plains. On Wednesday, the severe weather threat will move towards the Midwest. And on Thursday, the severe weather threat will move off to some regions of the east. That cold front will eventually push off towards the Atlantic. Here is our excessive rainfall outlook. A moderate risk exists for southeastern Virginia into northeastern North Carolina. This includes cities like Suffolk, Roanoke Rapids, and Elizabeth City. We expect 2 to 4 inches of rain up here. Of course, on top of already moist soils from the rainfall we've had these past few days. A broader slight risk exists throughout the central Appalachians to the coasts of Virginia, North Carolina. We also have other regions of slight risk over here in northwestern Iowa, associated with a convective system that will form in the afternoon and cause some high amounts of rainfall there. And we have another slight risk over here around the Arklatex region up to the Ozarks, associated with 2 to 4 inches of rain over here in these regions. But because they don't have the moist soils that these guys have, and convection will be kind of sparse, so the 2 to 4 inches of rain will be sort of isolated. These guys are not in risk as these regions over here. Tomorrow, slight risk of excessive rainfall, again associated with those two frontal regimes that we saw, one of which is in this region right here. One of them is in more so the upper Midwest and upper Great Plains. On day 3, we have a slight risk in Iowa and also Missouri. And on day 4, we have a marginal risk associated with that cold frontal push over here in much of the Midwest, and then day 5 over here from much of the Appalachians up towards New England. So looking at our fire weather outlook today, elevated fire risk for the same region as yesterday's fire weather risk here in eastern Nevada. Day 2 fire weather risk, critical risk over here in southern Nevada. That includes Las Vegas into southwestern Utah. That includes Cedar City over here in southwestern Utah. And on day 3, we have a critical fire weather risk for pretty much the same areas. And on day 4, critical fire weather risk for eastern Arizona into western New Mexico. Looking at our severe weather outlook, here is our enhanced risk. Oh, sorry, one more. Here is our enhanced risk for today. We have, this is primarily for a damaging wind and large hail risk. The large hail risk over here in central Montana. This includes cities like Billings, Bozeman, Miles City. And the damaging to destructive wind risk over here in eastern Montana and adjacent states includes cities like Spearfish, Miles City, and tornado risk, fairly low, but 1 or 2 tornadoes may occur in this region. And another 2% tornado risk over here in the moderate risk of excessive rainfall. Tomorrow, enhanced risk for much of Minnesota into adjacent states. We have a 5% tornado risk, so a few tornadoes may occur in this area, but this is primarily for a large to giant hail risk over here in central Minnesota. This includes cities like Minneapolis and cities in western or southwestern Minnesota. Day 3, slight risk for portions of the Central Plains into Midwest region. This includes cities like Kansas City, Wichita, and Des Moines. This is primarily for damaging winds and large. Day 4, our cold front begins to progress to the east. Slight risk of severe thunderstorms for portions of the Ozarks to the Great Lakes. Include cities like Chicago, Indianapolis, St. Louis, and Springfield, Missouri, and Illinois. This is primarily for a damaging wind and hail risk. And on day 5, this is Thursday, for the East Coast from the Appalachians into adjacent Piedmont regions. This includes cities like Roanoke, Philadelphia, Baltimore, DC, and Richmond. Looking at our heat risk on Sunday today, heat continues across the southwest with temperatures reaching up to 110 degrees for portions of the Sonoran Desert, over 100 degrees for portions of the Chihuahuan Desert. That heat will sort of mitigate just for a little bit over midweek and will migrate over here into the southern plains, temperatures well into the 90s degree Fahrenheit, perhaps up to 100 degrees in the Chihuahuan regions, above 100 degrees for the Chihuahuan Desert regions. and heat will start to build over here in the coastal plain to adjacent Piedmont. Temperatures into the 90s over there. By midweek, heat will come back into the southwest and expand up towards the central basin and plateau regions up here, Utah, and further up north. And heat continues over the east coast by mid to late week. By the weekend, heat will be expansive across the central plains to the Midwest regions. Looking at our 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, above average for much of the eastern United States, from the plateau regions east, especially for portions of the Midwest to Mid South. Below average temperatures for much of the Northwest. Here's our 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook. Above average for much of the northern tier of the U.S., especially the northwestern regions, and above average for southern Texas. Below average for portions of the central basin and plateau, and also the central Appalachians to the east coast. Now, finally, looking at our HREF modeling, here is our paintball. We're looking at the timing of storms, and we see storms initiating across this region of Montana into Wyoming just about at 3 to 4 p.m., and that will continue, possibly cluster up a little bit, but look semi-discrete to discrete, and then move on east as the night goes on. Storms will largely be moved out of the area by 9 p.m. So that is going to be it for today. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe. Of course, if you have any constructive criticisms, please leave them in the comments below. And as always, if you want any specific information regarding your area, please refer to your local National Weather Service or broadcast meteorologists. Thank you and have a great day.